In 1872, a merchant ship was discovered drifting across the Atlantic Ocean. The ship was in perfect condition. Its cargo was untouched. The crew's belongings were still inside their cabins. Food was still sitting on the table. But there was one terrifying problem. Every member of the crew had vanished. Not a single person remained on board. To this day, the mystery of the Mary Celeste remains one of the most chilling maritime mysteries ever recorded. The Mary Celeste was a merchant brigantine sailing from New York to Genoa, Italy. On board were Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife, their young daughter, and a crew of experienced sailors. The ship carried more than 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol. Everything about the voyage seemed normal. The ship was well maintained, the crew was experienced, and the weather conditions were considered manageable. Nothing suggested that the journey would end in one of the greatest mysteries of the sea. On December 4th, 1872, another ship called the Dei Gratia spotted a vessel drifting strangely in the Atlantic Ocean. Something about the ship seemed wrong. Its sails were partially set, but it moved erratically, as if no one was controlling it. When the crew of the Dei Gratia approached, they quickly recognized the ship. It was the Mary Celeste. But something was terribly off. No one responded to their signals. No crew members appeared on deck. So they boarded the ship to investigate. What they discovered would shock them. The ship itself was not damaged. The cargo was still secured in the hold. Personal belongings were still inside the cabins. Clothing, tools, and valuables had been left behind. Nothing appeared to have been stolen. The crew's lifeboat, however, was missing, and the ship's navigation instruments were gone. But there were no signs of struggle, no blood, no violence, no indication of pirates. It was as if the entire crew had simply vanished into thin air. Investigators soon began examining the ship more closely. Some small clues were discovered. There was about 1 meter of water in the ship's hold, though this was not unusual for ships of the time. One of the ship's pumps appeared partially disassembled. The ship's logbook contained its last entry 10 days earlier, and the last recorded location placed the ship hundreds of miles away from where it was finally discovered. But nothing explained the most important question. Why would an experienced captain abandon a perfectly seaworthy vessel in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? Over the years, many theories have attempted to explain what happened. Some believe the crew feared an explosion from alcohol vapors in the cargo hold. Others think a sudden seaquake or underwater earthquake may have frightened them. Some historians believe the captain may have mistakenly thought the ship was sinking. There are also theories involving pirates, mutiny, or even giant sea waves. But none of these explanations fully account for the strange details left behind on the ship. And the greatest mystery remains. If the crew left the ship in the lifeboat, what happened to them next? Despite extensive investigations and countless theories, the fate of the crew of the Mary Celeste has never been solved. No bodies were ever found. No wreckage of the lifeboat was ever discovered. The ocean kept its secret, and the Mary Celeste became known as one of the most famous ghost ships in history. A ship found perfectly intact, but with an entire crew that had simply disappeared. This was case file number 2 from Hidden Files 51, a mystery lost somewhere in the vast waters of the Atlantic Ocean, and a story that may never be fully explained. If you want to uncover more mysteries, secrets, and forgotten cases, subscribe to Hidden Files 51, because some stories are still waiting to be discovered.